one day it just kind of hit the wall, and it was just a really terrible situation. And Emily was actually staying home at the time with the kids. And I said, I'm done. I don't know what this means. I know we haven't really been putting a lot up. I just know we just need to trust God, because I can't keep doing what I'm doing. I'm at a loss.
Between the Grooves is hosted by James Curtis, music director and morning man in the Greater Toronto Area on Joy Radio, and Ayiesha Woods, Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter, and musician. Together, they talk with artists and industry insiders to discover our connection between music and faith. You can connect with us on Facebook or Twitter at Between Grooves. Now, here's James and Ayiesha.
Well, last week we had to wake up Ayiesha for our episode. This week we're both alive and well and awake. We've got I've got my coffee. Have you got anything that you're drinking there?
I actually had an iced coffee earlier.
Oh, see, to me, that's too early in the day. Iced coffee's got to be later in the day for me, in the afternoon or something.
Well, of course, I live in Florida, so anything iced early in the day is okay, because we're still in the 80s.
Got to rub it in, don't you? Just got to rub it in.
You know what? Even though I've had iced coffee, tell me this. Is it too early to put the Christmas tree up? Because I plan to do it, like this weekend.
Okay, well, I would say my belief is, or the general rule of thumb, I would imagine. I mean, there's a lot of people that love Christmas and they'll put it up, months in advance. For me, I think the right time to put up a Christmas tree, or at least the politically correct time to put up a Christmas tree, would be anytime after Remembrance Day. So Remembrance Day was last week. So anytime after Remembrance Day, so that you honor the veterans and you don't kind of have your focus in the wrong place and stuff.
Right.
Because Christmas is a big season. For me and my family, usually it's the last weekend in November, or more likely the first weekend in December when we put the tree up. But speaking of Christmas, we have our Between the Grooves Christmas special coming up. It's an annual tradition. It's one of our most listened to episodes every year. We've been doing it since day one, and that's an opportunity for us to bring back many of the previous guests to talk about Christmas.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's my first one.
Well, there you go. And it's a lot of fun, checking back with, our previous guests and chatting about Christmas. Like, for a full episode, it's a lot of fun. So that's something to look forward to. And something to look forward to today is our conversation with Daniel Mulkey. He's a worship leader, he's a singer-songwriter, and he's got quite the story to share with us as well. So let's get into that conversation with Daniel right now. I should get into this one. Daniel, how are you doing?
I'm good.
We tend to have a little fun on this show, so I apologize in advance.
About it.
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
You are in Georgia.
Yeah. I'm originally from a town called Silver Creek, and then that's close to another town that if anyone in the local area close to me would know, it's Rome. And then I just most recently moved 3 hours away from there to Augusta, which is known for golf if you follow, American professional golf or anything like that.
How far away is that from Atlanta?
Augusta would be two-ish hours away.
Okay. That's not bad.
No, it's not. It's really not at all. It's getting through Atlanta to get back to my hometown is what the problem is with all the traffic. Gosh, that place. It's a disaster with traffic.
I've been in Atlanta once on a business trip, and it was probably springtime. And here in Canada, I think if I recall correctly, in fact, I remember there was still snow on the ground, and they had to de-ice the plane as I was leaving. So that's something you would never encounter in the States. But de-icing is there's so much ice built up on the wings that they have to get this stuff sprayed onto it to melt the ice so you can actually lift off. And then I land in Atlanta, and it was like springtime. Everything's green, and it's warm, and it's beautiful. And I'm thinking, why do I live in Canada?
And pretty dogwood trees.
Yeah.
Georgia weather is absolutely insane. I mean, it's not rare for Christmas time to be like, you can't really wear much Christmas attire because it's so blessed warm outside.
Right.
You know, it's crazy.
Like the way he said blessed warm.
I know.
Yeah, I was going to say right at the top, just sorry about my accent. When I sing, it goes away, but I can't really do anything, because, that's what I got.
I apologize for my accent. I mean, I sound normal to me, but you must think, who's this strange guy?
It sounds like a perfectly normal accent, but I listen back to myself talk, and it's pretty bad. So,
oh man, you're a southern guy. That's all right.
Oh yeah.
Ayiesha, what did you do with your hair? Is that a new do?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I twisted it.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that with mine, and sorry.
My husband doesn't like it.
Oh, really?
And they said, yeah.
He should do that. He should do that.
Always say he's bald.
I know.
They always say for married couples, well, for women, get a hairstyle that your spouse likes. Well, a lot of the time, we're not on the same page with hairstyles.
I like the way you say the same page. It's a polite way of saying it. He doesn't like it.
He's not on board.
That's right.
Right. I like short hair, and I think it's typical for most men. They don't care for short hair. I love short hair. Like if I could, I'd cut it all off. But he'd be looking at me sideways for 6 months. Yeah,
you sound like my wife. She would like she's got longer hair, not really long hair, but she likes it really really short because it's less to manage, right? And I don't like it personally. So when you talk about being on the same page and stuff, but I got to share a story with you. And Daniel, we're gonna chat here. Don't worry, okay? But I just want to share this while we're talking about hair.
Jump in too.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've shared this with you before, Ayiesha, but in my early 20s, I would say, so probably a little younger than you are now, Daniel. And I was going to the bank. I wasn't making a lot of money and I needed the cash. So I was going to the ATM to get some cash out. And I go into this small little branch of this bank and it must have been after regular business hours because the main doors were closed, but you could still get into the machine. And I'm standing there and there's somebody ahead of me at the machine. There was only one machine in this particular branch, really small branch. And I look up and I see, there's a TV screen that I guess they've got cameras monitoring the ATMs and stuff like that. And I'm standing there and I look up, I said, there's a guy who's balding, I guess waiting as well. And I kind of look around and I was shocked. I was shocked to realize it was me. Can I say, when I look in the mirror, I can't see the top of my head. And I don't necessarily go with an extra mirror to look at the top of my head, but I was in utter shock. And like I was so embarrassed at myself looking at this camera and this thing of me. It was true story.
That's
not
awesome.
A word of a lie. That is exactly what happened. And ever since then, like even now with my kids, they laugh at me and
Are you serious?
This is the time now for you to feel sorry for me. So, some people, like your husband, is he naturally bald or does he shave it off? Because some people just shave it off. If they're balding anyways, they'll just shave it off.
That's his case. He was balding.
Right.
So he shaved it off. And he's been shaving his head since he was in his 20s.
Right.
And I mean, I like the bald head. I like facial hair.
Right.
Well, on
men?
On my husband.
Glad we qualified that. That's great. Anyway, so sorry, we're completely off track. Daniel Mulkey, thank you for joining us on Between the Grooves today. Obviously, you've got a full head of hair, so congratulations on that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. My granddad, literally until the day he died, he had like a full-blown like mullet, kind of situation.
Oh, wow.
So, like, I do not expect to lose my hair, thankfully, because I like it. I like styling it and all that. My wife gets on to me with how much time I actually put into fits in my hair, but that's a different story. But yeah, my granddad had goodness, he had some hair. Like in his 30s, he can never grow a beard until his 30s, which that's giving me hope because I'm having the same struggle. And
but then you don't have to shave. There's some time, that you gain.
I do still have to shave because it's just little enough to where it's all still happening, but it's just not as thick as I'd like it to be. But anyway, so when he turned 30, he had his beard finally came in where he can grow a full man's beard, like black beard, the whole thing. Well, at the same time, his hair, the top of his head went completely white. And so here he had this slick, long, back, white hair, full head of hair, and a black beard. And it was the coolest thing. I mean, it just looked so sharp. It really did. So I'm excited for my white hair and my black beard one day.
Excited for that. That's great.
Yeah.
Can I just say that mullets are coming back? In case you didn't know.
They are. I don't have the patience or the desire to grow a mullet, but I totally get it. They are coming back. That is true.
Mm-hmm. My son's got a mullet. I mean, he prefers the short around the top and the sides and stuff, but he wants to grow it long, and that's essentially what a mullet is anyways. But he likes the long hair, and he does that, and it's just easier for him, And awesome. It looks pretty good. I mean, he almost looks like a mini Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Oh, wow.
Well, I guess for you, Daniel, I mean, you're talking about the fact that you've got a full head of hair, but you've got young kids, and that can cause some hair loss as well.
I'm telling you.
You better know it.
It has been crazy. Like for most listening have no idea who I am, so I'll just kind of break it down. So like, I met my crush, Emily, or my now wife, I should say, when I was like 12 years old. Wow. And we were friends for such a long time. And obviously I was in love, but she was 2.5 years older than me. And she's like, you're just a little baby, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so we were best friends for the longest time. And then in 2016, I started dating someone else. And she's like, after I graduated high school, and she was like, I don't like this. And so she was like, hey, I'm interested. And so after that other fling fell through, she was like, please. And
now would she tell?
I want to hear her side.
Exactly. I'm just wondering if she would tell the story the same way. Exactly.
What you're missing here is 6 years of me saying, please. So that's how we switched around. So we each had our time of wanting to be with one another, and we finally got together in 2016, and then dated up until 2019, got engaged at the end of 2019. Due to COVID lockdowns and stuff, we were like, let's just get married with our immediate family. And so that was March of 2020. And then I called our first a COVID baby because that's just how it happened. Like we got married March 2020, and then Jacob, our son, was born January of 21. And then months later, my wife walks up to me and says, you need to go get a pregnancy test. And I about fell out of my chair. And as a guy, it's like, you're excited, but right when you first hear it, it is like, oh my gosh, right after the first, and all the craziness that went around that. And so Olivia, our daughter, was born March of this year. And so it's just been really incredible. And then, August, we moved to Augusta, changed jobs, after about 3 months of unemployment for me. And so these last, from 19 to now, it has just been a whirlwind. No doubt God's definitely been faithful, but yes, I am very surprised I haven't started losing my hair yet.
You mentioned Jacob is basically a COVID baby.
Yeah.
Do you find anything? I've got a niece who had a baby around the same time, and the thing I found about this little baby is the interaction with other people, because during COVID, you couldn't go seeing other people, even family members and whatnot. And so the ability to interact with new people, school has been really difficult for this young child. Even family members like grandparents and stuff, where she didn't see them for months because of safety and everything else, because they lived in different places and stuff. And even for us, like I saw her yesterday on FaceTime, and she's kind of looking at me like, who are you? And probably happy that she's protected in her own environment because she was in her own house. But still, it's not the type of relationship you would normally have with young children. So have you noticed any of that from your perspective?
I'd like to say I have, but no, because Jacob got both of our personalities. He looks just like me, but really has a lot of my wife's personality. We're both pretty outgoing, and he is just into everything and all over everything. And but we, at the beginning, so what we did, knowing he was coming, we kind of set up shop in my in-laws' house, and went ahead and planned, hey, we're all kind of going to be in here, kind of separated off, kind of thing. And so pretty early on, we were able to kind of bring him back home to a house full of people, really, but they have been kind of what's the word I'm trying to, it's been
quarantine, maybe
quarantined off, kind of thing. And so that helped. But yeah, he is very social. He's like his mom, where he needs that sleep, though. Once he's sleepy, it's over. The social life is over.
One thing I learned when my kids were really young, and I just kind of held on to it, was when they're so young and you have to put them down for naps and stuff.
Yeah.
Cha-ching. Yeah. Nap time for me, too. Can I tell you?
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So kids are well, your wife is well, and congratulations to you. I understand that it's been, I guess, for a few months there, a little difficult, providing for your family. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So basically, I was working in the construction industry, and honestly making the most money my wife and I have ever made in our lives. And on the weekends, I would travel and lead worship at churches, which is how I found this church. So I was traveling, but when things are going really good, we weren't budgeting, we weren't doing, you go kind of your life kind of barely getting by, and then you go to making what we were doing, and we were just living it up, not really, that kind of thing. And one day it just kind of hit the wall, and it was just a really terrible situation. And it just kind of hit the wall, and I came home, and Emily was actually staying home at the time with the kids. And I said, I'm done. I don't know what this means. I know we haven't really been putting a lot up. I just know we just need to trust God, because I can't keep doing what I'm doing. I'm at a loss. And just to be honest with you, if that would have never happened, there is no way I would have ever said, I'm going to go full-time ministry. I'm going to completely surrender and say, God, I know this is what you've given me the ability to do, and I'm going to do it. It was always it was a weekend thing. It was a gig. It was this and that. It was a conference. Someone would call and say, hey, come lead worship, but it was never what I did full time. And so that same church that I've been going to on the weekends, I drive 3 hours every weekend to come lead worship at this church that I'm at now. And I actually contacted the pastor, and I said, no, it was after service. We went and ate, and he had been trying to get me to come be full-time with him for a year at this point. And I told him what happened, and you just saw his eyes get so big, and he's like, Daniel, please come and do this. And I said, well, just let me pray about it. And this had been after about 2 months, and we said yes, and the next month we moved, and
wow.
I'm telling you, those 3 months challenged me in such a way to really my whole life. Just to be truly honest with you, I've been blessed to the point to where I really didn't have to worry about what was going to happen next, the next meal, the next chat, the next whatever. I've been very blessed. There's no doubt about that. And then when you get in that situation to where you see other people go through it, but you don't really, relate to it. And I went through that and just learned an abundance of patience and trusting in God. And I saw every week somehow God provided for me and my family, whether that was through, we would get random checks in the mail, random auto deposits that we didn't know we had pending. We had traded, she had a vehicle that we downsized because we could no longer afford the payment during that time. So we downsized vehicles. And a week later, from that company, we got a $500 gift card because that car had a recall on it. And just crazy, just
little things. Yeah.
Just little things. And then, our family stepped up and just helped us with meals and provided a safe place of encouragement. And just God did it. There's no doubt in my mind. And now I'm sitting in my office here at this church doing this interview, looking at the stack of albums behind me that were, I got we're doing a concert here this Sunday night for the album. Last night we were doing rehearsals for it. And so and that was another thing. It's like, I thought the album was going to stop because we hadn't finished it, during unemployment and the little money we have. I said, if I don't finish it now, I'm never going to. You
probably won't.
I'm not. Yeah. Right, because of the kids, because of our situation. I said, I've got to do it. And my wife looked at me, and knowing our financial situation, she said, just finish it. And, this isn't, there's not a label behind this. This is self-funded. This is me and my family. And this album is what my heart is. This is all songs written by me. And it's just a step of faith showing, God, this is what I want to put out there in worshiping you. And so. But yeah, to answer your question, it's been really hectic, but God has been faithful through it. No doubt.
I find it interesting that I guess whenever a major event happens in your life, whether it's the birth of a child or you go get married or perhaps a death in the family or job loss, whatever it is, that's a prime time to take a step back and determine how you're going to approach it. And a lot of times we approach those circumstances like, my life really sucks. Like, this is terrible right now. What am I going to do? Or it's an opportunity to approach it with, what can I do? And sometimes, like particularly even with the loss of a job, if you get laid off or whatever else, a lot of times that's the opportunity to get into something you really wanted to get into in the first place, but you never could because you were stuck in your job and you didn't have time. And so it's kind of forced you to take a step back and say, well, now I can do what either, you feel called to be doing or whatever your passion is in life to do.
Sure.
So I think that's all a good thing. I probably myself would not be working full-time radio if it weren't for, some major things happening in my life as well. So
right.
Yeah, there's no doubt. One of my favorite songs right now, worship songs that we are doing is Evidence. And it's like every individual person can look around in their own life and be like, man, that's God, because on our own we couldn't do it. And like you said, along with God's sovereignty, there's peace in knowing He's got it. If the world is still spinning, if there's still breath in my lungs, then I know I'm here for a purpose, and I've got to surrender to His sovereignty, to His will, and say, lead me where you want me to go. And I think that was the missing piece for me, where I was so caught up in, what I was able to do on my own, rather than saying, I know, from a very young age, this is what I need to be doing. And when I finally just said, all right, God, let's do it. I haven't been more happy than I am right now with my family and my job, because I get to wake up every day and do what I love, and that's music. And
that's it.
That's God for sure.
It takes a lot of faith, though, when you're not bringing the income in to support your family and stuff. That's a pretty scary situation.
It was. there's a lot of nights where it's just like, what can I do? And it was a lot. And what was so funny is, I have a business degree. I have really good experience. What I was doing was like a sales type thing, but in the construction industry with a lot of experience. I mean, I'm talking about on my own, in my job, I was able to generate millions in revenue. And it was almost like, and I had connections and stuff, and it was like God closed every other possible job opportunity. I'm not kidding you. I mean, I would apply.
He has
for
his way of
things
doing
or,
that.
I'm telling you, he did, because you reach out in a scurry. You're trying to reach out and find the next thing, and it was just like, nope, that ain't happening. Nope. And then it's like when I started to be open to me doing this job, this music job full time, and with this church and all that, it was like everything clicked together in a way to where it just shouldn't have done that, and it was it's funny almost, because God was working through it. He definitely was.
It's great that that you've kind of been able to wrap your mind around this entire concept at such a young age, because for a lot of us, we didn't get it until I won't say a lot older. I'll say a little bit older. But you've got it, and that's a blessing, because it's more power for the chorus.
Yeah, everyone's got their own journey for sure, and in some cases, people find it out, due to home life and different things like that. Find it out a lot younger, almost.
Right.
And so, that's where I kind of felt like it was hard for me, because of my lifestyle, and I'm trying to figure out how to word this, just where I was in life and the opportunities that I had, and where I felt like I was privileged in some ways. I felt in such a way I had a hard time relating to people when I was ministering in church, because I really hadn't lived enough life to relate as much to people as I maybe would have been. And so going through what I went through, it's like, everyone's got their own journey. Everyone's got their own, dear God, what am I going to do moment, or, anything like that. And so Pastor was just talking about this Sunday about, during our prayer time, it's like it's not like about the level of your prayer, like how bad it is. Meaning, if someone said, "Pray for me, I have cancer treatments," versus "Pray for me, I have a procedure on my little kid, and it's a regular procedure, but I just want prayer." Those are, in the eyes of God, those are equally as important to Him. And so everyone's got their own life experiences. And once we all kind of go back to trusting in God no matter what, I don't think you could go wrong, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting how you say everybody's at a different level and goes through things differently, but nothing is different as far as being in the eyes of God, right? Like I could stub my toe and it's swollen, or maybe I broke my toe and there's nothing they can do about it, but I'm in pain and stuff. And then you mentioned about somebody having cancer, and so I'm feeling bad for myself because I stubbed my toe and it's probably broken and now I'm limping and stuff. But then you take a step back and look at somebody else who's probably got something worse happening and they're handling it better than I am, right?
Right. Perspective and then surrender.
Yeah. I've got a friend of mine who was recently unemployed, and he was looking for a job, and I found it interesting because I found any time that I was in a position where I needed to get a job, whether I was unemployed or I just wanted to move into a new job, I always had a decent looking resume, stayed at companies for a good length of time, so the resume looks good and stuff. And I had very little to no success ever applying for jobs on job boards or through any of these places. The best jobs I ever got were word of mouth, where somebody would come to me and say, "Hey, now that you're looking, I'm interested.
Yes.
Or
Right.
now that you're unemployed, I've been looking for somebody, but you were
Right.
in a job, and so I didn't want to steal you away or whatever else. So it's interesting, you sharing about the fact that this church has been kind of hounding you for a year now, and finally the circumstances work out where now you'll actually listen, right? Because maybe before it's like, oh, no, I'm making good money. I've got a great job, and, I'm good,
Yeah. And isn't it funny how literally, I had lost my job, questioning how I'm going to provide for my family. And keep in mind, I was still coming to this church on weekends and stuff. But even then, I was like, God, no, I'm not going to fully go to this job. I'm going to see what else I can find. It's like, come on, Daniel, take a hint. It's just funny to me.
Yeah. So all the while you were going through that, I guess it was also a time to work on the new album. So your new album has just dropped, and you've got some songs that you've released to radio and stuff. Can you tell us? that's a big project to come up with an album, recording process, and all the different elements that are involved in that. Can you tell us about that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was just talking to my friend today. It's like, to be a indie Christian artist, it's like you got to be a marketer, you got to be a professional speaker, you got to be a musician, you got to be a songwriter, you got to be everything. And so, it is a big undertaking. These songs were written anywhere as early as 2014. And so I had a handful of songs that I knew I really wanted to compile on a record eventually. And then I got connected to Daniel Doss, and if you know of him, he's an indie artist as well, a great songwriter and producer. And we connected in November or October of last year, and finished up Without a Redeemer, which was my first single, and started that process. And after that song was complete, and I kind of got a taste of like, okay, this is what it looks and sounds like when you work with great people, talented people. And so I said, I want to start the process of recording an album. And so a friend of his, Foster Farrell, is a producer and a former guitarist on the road for country artists and that kind of thing. We got together, really hit it off, and early this year started the process of recording the album. And right at the beginning, we knew that, my background, growing up in Georgia, you'd flip a radio station and you'd hear bluegrass, and then you'd hear Southern gospel, Gaithers, Crab Family, that kind of thing. And then you'd hear CCM, coming out of Atlanta, kind of thing.
Right.
And so those kind of, within me, that kind of mixture really resonated with me. And so you get a Christian country with some bluegrass and some sprinkle of CCM album, basically. This album is what the type of music that I really love. And Foster did a great job of capturing that vision. And while I was unemployed, I think a week and a half after I lost my job, that's when I had to make the decision whether we were going to move forward, because I had to drive to Nashville and do final vocals on the record. And so that was a big point of kind of decision making for me, and we did it, and it turned out great, and I'm just really proud of the record as a whole. But yeah, we're sending Only Jesus Can Do to radio, and I already got word that people are playing it, and so it just means a lot. And that song, awesome. It's a fun one as well. So I'm really excited about the whole thing.
Earlier, you said you finished up Without a Redeemer, and what I heard from you there was you actually found your Redeemer after the fact, because sorry, the way you said it, we finished up Without a Redeemer.
Oh,
yeah, the way you said it was like, oh, okay. So did you find your Redeemer?
I thought you were making like a spiritual point. I was like,
no.
Yes.
No. I wasn't going deep there.
He's over there. He's like, hey,
sorry.
Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so funny.
Quickening.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, nothing. I was just goofing off. Sorry. You've released a couple of songs to radio now. You released Without a Redeemer.
Yeah.
And you also more recently released Only Jesus Can Do. And is that the song you've said that is getting some radio airplay?
Yeah, it is. And it's just a fun one. I mean, I was talking to a buddy of mine about the song, and it was like, we as the church are called to be a lot of things to a lot of people. We need to be there for one another, and that's where that's in the song Family on the record. That's where I talk about that. And but it's not unlikely that when we have prayer time here at our church, and it's like some things you want to pray and pray and pray, and that's important. And at a certain point, like we've talked about, you have to surrender and say, you know what, God, if anything's going to get done, it's just going to have to be you. If this is your will, sure, do it. I'm trusting in this because some things, it's true, only Jesus can do. And so, right. I didn't mean to rhyme, but anyway. But
no, yes, you did. Yes, you did.
It's true. Only. Yeah. But yeah, I really love the song. Bridge. Come to Jesus. Find your rest. Come to Jesus. His promise is yes and amen. That kind of thing, declaring that, and accepting that, it's like, come to Jesus. He is the answer. That's what the song is saying at the end of the day. He's the answer. And so I'm really proud of it, and all the other tunes on the record. So it's exciting.
Your role now as worship leader at Trinity Baptist Ministries in Georgia, in Augusta, Georgia, what's that been like as far as, you've got the music career side of things going, but you're also got your day job, and how's that been for you?
It's been so good. This church here is such a traveling. I've went to a lot of churches, and never once had Emily and I, my wife, been like, this is, if we ever went full-time ministry, this is where we would be. And this church is really just a warm family. They've welcomed us. They've supported us, when we're away from family, from our hometown. They've been there for us. And so the day-to-day, just getting to be here and be a part of what God's doing, at a local church is really important. And it's, even in the last few months that I've been here, it's already shaped my perspective on writing, who I'm writing for, and then just how I lead worship. And it's almost given me a lighter load on stage, meaning I'm not so caught up in making sure everything is so put together, because people come into church and they're not put together. They're right. They're looking for something that they need some levity, because the world is so heavy. It really is for a lot of people. And so when people walk into church, they're not looking for necessarily entertainment, but they're looking for a true encounter with God. And sometimes that is a laugh on stage. It's okay. That kind of thing. And so sometimes people's experiences interacting with fellow believers and saying, gosh, my week's been crazy, but you know what? I'm going to come in this place and I'm going to worship. I'm going to thank God. I'm going to pray. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to cry. This is what church is supposed to look like.
Right.
Right. And so I've kind of gotten away from so strict order of services, but more so keep it excellent, because of who we're doing it for. But also keep that open mind and perspective. It's like, it's okay. It's, it's church. It's a family gathering. That's what it is. Right. It's a family coming together. And so it's really starting to shape who I am as a leader, who I am as a writer, and who I want to be as an artist when I take this song into churches. And so I'm just excited about what God's doing. But yes, it really has shaped. It's already shaping me and giving me different perspectives on what I do and how I do it.
That's awesome. Are your songs, the songs on your project, are they worship songs, or are they other songs that you would perform, at different venues? Yeah,
I think most of them are performative storytelling songs. That's where my writing tends to be. Unexplainable is the big worship track on there. And I knew in writing for the album, even before really I was writing for an album, just assembling the songs in my mind, I was like, wow, I'm a worship leader. I'm a literal traveling worship leader, and I don't have a worship song for this album. So I really want something like that on there. And I think this is before me and Emily got married. So this is 18 or maybe mid 19. I was in my apartment, and I was really trying to write a worship song. I really was. I had the Bible open. I was really.
That's focus. Yeah, he's focused there.
I am ready to write the next Tomlin worship song. You know? And then I was looking in Revelation, and all the other occurrences where God is described as holy, holy, holy. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. And I was like, okay, rather than what if I just sang holy? And so I had this melody in my head, and so that's kind of where it started. It turned into the bridge of unexplainable, but basically the song there talks about he's faithful, he's just, he's there for me when I've run away from him like the prodigal child. He's welcomed me back with a robe. He's been there for me, but above all things, he's holy. And that's almost me saying, you know what, gosh, God, you're unexplainable. There's there's infinite ways to define the greatness and the glory and who you are. And so in the verses, it kind of talks about in my own life, you know, in our lives as believers, how we experience God and what God means to us. But at the end of the day, he's holy. And in that holiness, we kind of fall into just trust and surrender because we know who he is, you know, at the end of the day. So that's what that song turned into. So yeah, that's a big worship song, and I'm excited. We're singing it here at our local church, and so nice. It's a really powerful track. Not because of anything I did, but all because of the Lord. So I'm proud of that one.
Daniel, I guess the only thing I can add to everything that you've said, especially when you go back and talk about leading worship in church, I just love the church services where there's no time for the message. You know?
Right.
And sometimes I don't think we have enough of those services because you talk about, following the order of service, and this is the agenda. This is, everything assembled. This is, you got 20 minutes on stage for the worship because then we got to do announcements and whatever else is on the go here. And then we got to allot enough time for the message. And you can't go over because, your boss is going to be the senior pastor or the lead pastor. Right. And so you got to be careful. But yet I just love the services where it's like, sorry, pastor, you're not going to have time to preach. And it's even better. It's even better when he realizes that I guess I'm not preaching. Right. Right.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's interesting, growing up, Church of God, kind of Pentecostal, kind of thing. That happened a lot in my hometown church. And so the church I'm at now is like a Baptist church, which I grew up Baptist as well for 10 years. So, and I'm a Baptist again. And it's funny how
you're Baptist-costal.
I'm that's yes, I am.
That's a new hashtag.
Hashtag Baptist-costal.
Yeah.
That's going to be actually the name of my next record. So
there you go. That's what we're here for.
But yeah, it's amazing how people can make plans, but God's going to do what he wants to do. And so that's all. That also gives me peace. It's like, you can plan. God's like, that's cute. Go ahead and make a plan. That's cool. Okay, I'll blow it up real quick, but it's fine. It's not a big deal, So,
on the flip side, if the pastor didn't have time to put together a message because he was busy all week, that's it's a win-win. That's right.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, listen, Daniel, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us. Really enjoyed hearing about your journey and seeing all the things that's happened in your life. It's been pretty exciting.
Thanks you guys so much for having me. Daniel. It means a lot.
Well, thank you, Daniel.
Problem.
Appreciate it, and take care.
Man, what a great conversation with Daniel. He's such a kind guy and really transparent. Have an appreciation for that every time. If you'd like to find out more about Mr. Daniel, why don't you check out his website? It is Daniel Mulkey. That's spelled Mulkey. DanielMulkey.com.
time for some artist advice, and today we go to Lori and Stacy from Merge PR.
I would say my one piece of advice is remember your audience and why you got into doing this, and to remember that the people that you're trying to reach and the people that you work with. It's all about relationships, and it's all about caring for those people, no matter how big your song is, how many albums you sell. Those are the people that are listening to you. Those are the people that are supporting you. Those are the people that are working hard for you, and to continue to cheerlead them as well and be appreciative of them, because that goes so long for anybody that is working for you. And it also, the fans know when you are genuine. The fans know when you take time to interact with them on social media or at a signing line or randomly meeting them at Target. They can feel that out when it's genuine, and to just always keep that in check, like keep that gut check, like why am I doing this? What is the purpose of this? And who is supporting me?
Mine, to add to that, is to be you. You know, I feel like there are some artists who want to be something else because they see success, or they see, you know, a song do really great or an artist do really great. Not everybody is going to be that, and that's not even why we do what we do. You know, it's the mission behind the music. So to me, we thrive the most behind artists who are themselves and embrace who they are and go with that, because I feel like people see the genuine versus the non-genuine. And we as a PR team want to publicize the genuine. And even if it's going to go to a smaller audience and it's, you know, a more scaled down type of genre, whatever it may be, or sound, it's just being you. I don't like the manufactured because this is what's hot right now. It's being themselves.
Yeah, it's so good what Lori was saying, just about remembering the importance of authenticity, you know, and being genuine, because at the end of the day, people, they want to feel connected to you. And when you are genuine and authentic, they know it. And if you're not, they know it as well. So
yeah, I think it's interesting that these comments came from Lori and Stacy from Merge PR, and these are PR experts. These are marketing experts. They know what works and what doesn't work from the business perspective in artists. And the fact that they're saying, be genuine, you know, remember who your audience is, you know, what's the mission behind your music. All of that stuff is what really, really matters, despite all the things that you think might matter or what you would like to, you know, perhaps do to further your career. These guys or these gals know what really matters as far as growing your audience and growing your business and growing your career.
That's true.
Thank you to Stacy and Lori for giving us your advice for all of our listeners. And thank you to Daniel for hanging with us as well. Really enjoyed today's conversation on Between the Grooves. And if you'd like to give your 2 cents worth and your feedback, get some comments, leave us a comment wherever you get your podcasts, or on Twitter at Between Grooves, or on Facebook at Between Grooves.
Thanks for listening to Faith Strong Today's Between the Grooves podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, would you consider sharing it with your friends, rating our podcast, or giving us some love on your socials to your amazing friends and followers will only help us reach more people. We'd also love to hear from you and share your feedback in an upcoming episode. Send your video or written message to Ayiesha and James on Facebook and Twitter at Between Grooves, or email us anytime, hello@faithstrongtoday.com.